You open the app and tap once. Half a second later, a price is on your screen and a car is turning toward you, picked out of thousands moving through the city right now. Here is what happened in that half second. Underneath it is a live marketplace with two sides that never sit still. Riders wanting cars, drivers wanting riders, both scattered across the city, both changing every second. Match them and price it instantly, everywhere at once. To reason about a city, Uber chops it into hexagons, a gridded open-sourced called H3. Hexagons instead of squares for one reason. A square has two kinds of neighbor, the ones it shares an edge with, and the ones it only touches at a corner. Two different distances. A hexagon has one. Every neighbor sits the same distance away, which makes measuring supply and demand across the map clean instead of lopsided. The grid nests. One hexagon can cover an area the size of a country, then split into 7 smaller ones, again and again, 16 times over, down to a hexagon smaller than a doormat. There is one thing the math cannot avoid: you cannot tile a sphere with hexagons alone. There must be exactly 12 pentagons. Uber rotated the grid until all 12 sit out in the ocean, far from any street. Uber shows the price up front before you commit, not a meter climbing as you go. That number is built from 3 parts: a base fare, plus a rate for the distance, plus a rate for the time. To know the distance and the time, it has to predict your trip before you have taken it. First, it predicts arrival time. A routing engine treats every road as a line with a cost and finds the cheapest path, a giant network of pipes. But the map is not the road. Traffic, a river with one bridge, an overpass, a turn nobody can make, none of that is in the clean picture. A second model, trained on millions of real trips, predicts the gap between the map's guess and reality and corrects it. It runs in a few thousandths of a second, and it is the busiest model Uber has. Every fare and every pickup depends on it. Sometimes a hexagon lights up, a concert lets out, rain starts, and there are suddenly more riders in that hexagon than there are drivers. When that gap opens, the price in that hexagon rises. Watch what the higher price does. Some riders decide to wait a few minutes, and demand eases off. Nearby drivers see the busy area glowing on their screen and head for it, and supply climbs. The gap closes from both ends, and as it closes, the price falls back on its own. A thermostat for the marketplace raised the price, pulled the two sides back into balance, let it cool. It does not only react. Models forecast where demand is about to appear, the stadium about to empty, the Friday rush, the storm on radar, and nudge drivers toward those spots before the requests arrive. The best way to handle a surge is to have already moved the cars. Now the moment you tapped, you would expect the closest car. But closest is not the same as soonest. A driver 1 mile away across a river might be 8 minutes from you. A driver 2 miles away on a clear road might be 4. Uber says it plainly. The nearest car is often not the quickest. It matches on arrival time, not distance. It also waits. Instead of taking the first match the instant you ask, it holds for a few seconds and lets a batch of riders and drivers pile up, then solves them all together as one puzzle, choosing the set of matches that makes everyone's total weight the smallest. 2 riders, 2 drivers, and the obvious pairing is often the wrong one. The lines cross. Uber estimates that matching this way saves, across everyone, 10 years of waiting every day. It can match you to a driver who has not finished their current trip yet. The system projects where that car will be when it drops off, sees that it lands right by you, and sends it your way before the other passenger has stepped out. The busy car heading toward you beats the free car sitting farther off. A match that looks best for you right now can strand a neighborhood a minute later by pulling its last car away. Uber learned to match for the city's future, not just this instant, using reinforcement learning that weighs where every car will be needed next. It runs in hundreds of cities, and it measurably raised driver earnings while cutting the times riders give up and cancel. All of this for every tap, everywhere, always. The match engine makes more than 30 million pairing predictions a minute, in batches of 15,000 answered in a tenth of a second. The arrival model responds in milliseconds. A whole city of supply and demand, solved again and again, and you feel none of it. The single distance property matters because everything is moving. On a square grid, a car drifting a few meters can flip from a near neighbor to a far one, and the demand count for a block twitches for no real reason. On hexagons, the steps between cells are even, so supply and demand shift smoothly as the city flows through them. All of this prediction runs on a platform Uber built for machine learning called Michelangelo. Thousands of models in production, making on the order of 10 million predictions a second, forecasting demand, correcting arrival times, and scoring matches everywhere at once. This matching is an old problem in disguise. Put riders on one side, drivers on the other, and find the cheapest set of connections between them. It is a bipartite assignment studied by mathematicians since the 1950s. Uber runs it live on a city that will not hold still thousands of times a second. Put it together with one ride. You tap inside a hexagon the map already knows. The route model reads the roads and predicts the trip. A base fare, a distance rate, and a time rate add into the price, and because your block is busy, a small multiplier is added and nearby drivers start moving. A batch resolves a few seconds later, and the car it sends is not the nearest one. It is one on a clear road that will reach you soonest, still finishing a drop a block away. None of these ideas is the hard part on its own. The hard part is running all of them at once on a city that never stops moving and returning a price and a car before your thumb has left the glass.